While I won't be diving into any heavy topics, there will be a disclaimer discussing abuse, trauma, and self-harm. So if you are in any way uncomfortable with these topics, please click off. There will be also a big heavy spoiler warning and a photosensitivity warning. Growing up, I was never one for horror and scary things, so when I found Stranger Things a year later in 2017, I immediately brushed it off until a family member recommended it to me because I loved Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and many shows liked it at the time, so I thought I would give it a shot, and I loved it. With the tension to the made-up small town and the upside down, and it being set in the 80s, a time I wasn't even born in and I never experienced. So I felt like I was experiencing a different culture, almost through a TV show. So it became one of my favorite shows, and recently watching it made me realize why I love it so much. By the way, before you ask me, Robin, Erica, Hopper, Dustin, Joyce, Max, Vicky, and Nancy are my favorite characters. Yes, I know that's a lot. And no, I'm not a shipper. However, this show made me love these characters so much and these couples so much to the point that, yes, I do ship them, so shut up. Vicky and Robin, Joyce and Hopper, and the infamous broken up couple, Nancy and Jonathan. One of my favorite episodes to this day are episodes 5 and 6 of season 1, where you follow Jonathan and Nancy, two people who would have never talked to each other if they didn't have one goal in mind: find Will and Barb. You watch as scared Nancy and Hawkins Forest look for the monster that might have taken Will and Barb. While they look around, Nancy finds a gate and climbs through. But because Jonathan isn't near her, you automatically get scared for her, for what she'll find on the other side. She immediately reaches through the other side of the gate. She is met with a Demogorgon eating its dinner as Nancy screams, alerting the Demogorgon. The transitioning into this cool chase scene of Nancy running and hollering for Jonathan from the upside down, unable to find her way out, while the Demogorgon is chasing her. Meanwhile, Jonathan can faintly hear her in the forest and runs around trying to understand quickly what's going on to try to help Nancy get her home safely. While there's more to these episodes, however, it made me invested in the Upside Down and why the gates are open in the first place. Stranger Things Season 1 focuses on Will, Joyce's son, going missing. In the first episode, and while everyone's trying to find him, throughout the season they ultimately end up finding something way bigger than expected. The main cast in Season 1 is Dustin, Mike, Lucas, and Elle, or 11, which in later seasons expands to Max and Will in Season 2 in the main cast, and the supporting cast being Nancy, Jonathan, Joyce, Steve, and Hopper, and in later season expands to adding Bob before he dies at the end of Season 2, Eddie in Season 4 before dying at the end of the season, Susie in 3 and 4 before leaving the supporting cast due to Dustin possibly pushing her away after Eddie's death in Season 4, Erica and Robin in Season 3, and Murray in Season 2. Throughout this season, you learn a lot about the main cast, including Will's home life. For example, we learn that Will's mother is a divorced single mother who heavily relies on her oldest son, Jonathan, for his brother up in the morning, make breakfast, and what I'm assuming is help pay bills, because he does have a job. And when Will goes missing and presumably dead, he does put up all the missing posters and at one point plans a whole funeral himself, while his mom, to him, has lost it. While season 1 and 2 aren't my favorites, I absolutely love the chemistry between each of the characters and how they grow between each season. Take, for example, Steve. He's a rich kid and a popular kid in high school. When the show starts, he's already dating Nancy because he genuinely likes her, even though he starts losing all his so-called friends and possibly his status at school. And later on we learn Nancy is at one point probably had feelings for him but fell out of love, while also staying in the relationship and only expressing those feelings when drunk. Though he stays her friend and is a really good one, and he went from an asshole to a kind and caring, understanding person throughout the show. Nancy is one of my favorite characters. She is a shy and timid small town girl who grew up in her own little bubble, which I can relate to a lot. When she wants more in life, she tries to get in with the popular kids in the beginning of the series, and you can see that as she starts distancing herself from her best friend Barbara. And because of that, she starts to blame herself for Barbara's disappearance and ultimately her death. You can see throughout the show how confident and brave she's become throughout the show. Just like her brother Mike, she also ends up becoming a leader of her own party, but is just going to take some time. Just wanted to add in as well while I'm editing this video. Throughout season 4, Nancy is preyed on by Vecna, and the reason why she is preyed on by Vecna is because of her guilt for Barb's death. And the reason why is because she feels responsible for her death. And I just wanted to bring that up because I did mention that earlier, but she still holds on to that guilt throughout the whole series up to the middle of season 4. And the reason why he doesn't go after Max when that's his main target is because everybody in the party has some sort of trauma, secret, what have you. And so he goes after Nancy because of that guilt, because she feels horrible for Barb's death. But anyways, I just wanted to mention that real quick. I could go on and on about the characters and how they change throughout the series, like how Max handles her abusive home life and brother to Max's depression in season 4, or all the trauma that the characters have endured for it to come right back around in the finale with Joyce chopping off Vecna's head while he's already choking on blood, which was fucking awesome to watch. And he definitely deserved it to how Will was treated in the show by the characters and many other things that I don't want to deep dive into today. While I won't deep dive into societal aspects that was going on in America in the 80s because that's not what I do here, and there are plenty of other videos that you can watch that make that type of content. However, I do want to gush about my favorite ships in the show, starting with the one that confused people the most, Nancy and Jonathan. Throughout the show, these two start getting extremely close, and at one point they start dating. However, at the end of season 3, the Byers, Jonathan's family, end up moving due to them thinking Hopper is dead and Joyce adopting Elle so they can move to California. In the whole of season 4, they never once talk to each other due to A, Jonathan being high most of the season, and B, both of them avoiding their issues even though they could have just seen each other during spring break, and they chose not to. They chose to avoid each other instead. Ironically, one of my favorite scenes in season 5 is their breakup, because after Nancy shoots the exotic matter, they are immediately put in danger as they both pass out and are about to die if nobody does anything. Hence why Nancy and Jonathan both air out their grievances with each other the way that they did before they die, because they knew that it was wrong, but they probably were afraid. But they still want to remain friends, though they might probably still like each other, and it's sort of beautiful in a way. Besides Steve's relationship with Robin, I also love his relationship with Dustin because it's super sweet. How someone that doesn't want to be a babysitter to the youngest kids, they eventually become Dustin's best friend and one of the funniest duos in the show. One of the best couples in the show is Joyce and Hopper, because with everything that went on in the show, Joyce and Hopper needed more closure than anyone else. Hopper, for example, lost his wife and daughter at the start of the show, and went into a deep depression and self-destruction until Elle came into his life and opened his heart, and they both started to heal. Joyce, however, had to watch her son suffer and be traumatized without being able to help since he was 11, while also losing people that she loves in the process. So watching two people get close because of unfortunate circumstances is nice. I really like it, and I wouldn't be lying if I didn't say I almost screamed and cried when Hopper proposed to Joyce in the finale. Though as much as I love seeing the Byers accept Hopper into their family, I would have loved to see Elle there and see Will, Jonathan, and Elle get closer and act almost like siblings, but unfortunately it probably won't happen. However, I want to personally believe that Elle is alive somewhere and living her best life, and maybe one day she will be able to see her family and friends again. As you can tell, I really love this show, and that's because it's a show to me about a coming-of-age story. These characters learn to deal with what life throws at them, whether it be abuse, trauma, disabilities, bullying, about your mental health, relationships, depression, and much more wrapped up in a fantasy town and D&D inspired monsters. But let me know what you think and if you've ever seen the show. But that'll be it for me today. Thank you very much for watching, and subscribe.